In the space of 4 years, my sister Lisa, my sister-in-law Holly, and I dealt with the death of 3 family members. My mom, Janet, my brother John, and my dad Bill. Dr. Bill Murphy grew up in Liverpool. There had always been a fish plant. The most recent one burned down in the 50s, and so the thought was born of rebuilding a fish processing plant in order for the town to thrive. He was a very moral, ethical, centered man, and so he knew what was right, and this was right, and it was his hometown. He grew it into one of the foremost seafood enterprises in Nova Scotia. And that's been a great part of the growth and support of the town over the years.
There was a real passion for the people here. Mom was definitely one of those that couldn't walk through the town without having 17 conversations along the way.
I think of it and like to think of it as a great romance because they were tremendous friends and partners all through their life.
Well, actually, Dr. Murphy was my dentist growing up. So I met him at a very young age. And then when I went to Mersey Seafoods, I met John, who later became my husband.
Grew up literally forking fish in the hold, learned the business from the ground up. Dad was sort of the policy visionary guy, but John made the thing work.
It was 5 of us, it was the whole family, and then it wasn't.
Mom had a stroke and needed care at home for the little over a year before she passed. So when he lost her, I believe he was caught off guard by the impact that would have. We were able to bring in support for that, and Mom and Dad had a peaceful death at home in this house, but that's not the case for everyone.
John was, at that point, he was getting tired physically, and that's when we discovered that he had multiple myeloma. I remember walking home from that appointment, and then he realized, and he said out loud, he said, "Wait a minute here. The doctor said he could treat me. He didn't say he could cure me." And I said, "Yes, that's right."
In the last few months of his life, as the disease really started to take toll, because it almost eats holes in your bones. So bones collapse, vertebrae collapse, and he experienced some paralysis. I remember when we were in the hospital before the last fight, and I was there, and I do not want anyone to go through those last painful days that John went through. It wasn't obvious to me until the doc pointed it out that we were moving into a palliative stage. Your first reaction is no, not us. I mean, yeah, right. It's not time. We're not ready about it.
And now you're at a loss. You're uneducated about it. You're afraid.
It needs to be as easy to talk about advanced care directives, substitute decision making, end of life decisions, hospice accessibility. Unless those conversations start early enough, then it will always be a crisis. It has to be as easy to have that conversation as it is to have the conversation about your flu shot. It began the conversation with the QE2 Foundation about how we could shape a dialogue around a provincial palliative care strategy.
The principle behind an endowed chair is that a donation is made and that the money from that donation is available indefinitely to support a research leader in the field of palliative care from this point forward at the QE2 and for the province of Nova Scotia.
We've focused for many years on curing disease and haven't spent much time on what happens if it's not cured and how to handle the remainder of their life in a skillful way.
Palliative care is everyone's responsibility. We need to make sure that we're all having a better understanding of what it is, what it can mean to patients and families, and how we can really start to work together to improve the quality of living and dying for this population.
How this really impacts patients and families is so important. So being able to embed a research lens into everything we do is critical.
Chairs of this type are so important not only for the work that they do, but they're the role models for our learners, for our students and our doctors training to be family physicians or specialists. The people of Nova Scotia will be receiving excellent opportunities for the latest advances to help improve their care at a very difficult point in their lives.
An endowed chair in palliative end-of-life care is going to make sure the care that we provide is informed by the needs of Nova Scotians and by homegrown research. So in our community, by our community, and for our community. And those are the words that kind of sum up hospice for me. This donation, is a very substantial part of our capital build. We wouldn't be able to complete construction without it, and we wouldn't be able to furnish and equip the hospice without it.
It is the first hospice in Nova Scotia, a 10-bed facility, and we're hoping to have more hospices around the province.
Where our families can be family members and not caregivers.
A palliative care facility where you have the proper care in a room with sunshine, with plants, and with people. This matters, and it matters a lot.
You want to empower individuals and their families to embrace, it's trite, but to embrace the good death. It's important.
We really hope that our society can get to the point where there's less fear around death and dying, and more understanding and more peace with what's happening.
Everyone is going to face this. That's one of the fine lines or fine print on the contract that is life.
The dying process is as important as the birthing process, and as like with a good birth, we can have good deaths. There's always going to be sadness with it. That's the price we pay for loving somebody, but it doesn't have to be frightening.
It's an acknowledgement that death is near, but it's absolutely about supporting life and life with dignity.
It's a time when you should nurture your relationship. It's a time when you should make memories, tell stories.
You're never going to have a tree unless you plant a seed and you tend it. And this donation not only plants the seed, it makes sure that we can tend it and that we can grow it. And so that 15 years from now, people won't be asking what is residential hospice or what is palliative care. They'll know because it'll be a sense of community pride and engagement.
Mom and Dad and my brother John, I'm very, very confident that this concept they would be 100% behind.